One story about refugees that I love is called Lubna and Pebble by Wendy Meddour, illustrated by Daniel Aguinis. Lubna and Pebble. This is a pretty short story and a really sweet one. Lubna and Pebble. Lubna's best friend was a pebble. It was shiny and smooth and gray. Lubna found it on the beach when they arrived in the night. Then she fell asleep in Daddy's salty arms. When Lubna opened her eyes, it was morning. They had landed in a world of tents. Lubna clutched Daddy's hand and gripped her petal. Somehow she knew they'd keep her safe. In a big white tent, Lubna found a felt-tip pen. She drew a happy face on her pebble. "Hello, Pebble," whispered Lubna. Pebble smiled back. Lubna told Pebble everything, about her brothers, about home, about the war. Pebble always listened to her stories. Pebble always smiled when she felt scared. "I love you, Pebble," Lubna said with a sigh. Then the winter arrived. The winds began to blow. The tents began to flap. Daddy said, "Come close, I'll keep you warm." But Lubna was worried. What if Pebble gets a cold? "That must never happen," said Daddy. He went and found a shoebox and a tea towel. "Thank you," Lubna grinned. Soon a little boy arrived. At first he had no words, just blinks and sneezes and stares. "This is my best friend, Pebble," Lubna said. The little boy coughed and sneezed, then smiled. "Hello, Pebble. My name's Amir." Lubna and Amir became friends. They played hide and seek underneath the stars. But at bedtime, Lubna whispered to Pebble, "You are still my best friend." One day, Daddy was beaming. "We are leaving. We have found a new home." Lubna felt happy, then sad. Amir cried. That night, Lubna couldn't sleep. She asked Pebble what to do. Pebble didn't answer. But by the morning, Lubna knew. Lubna gave Amir the shoebox with Pebble and the pen. "What do I do if Pebble misses you?" asked Amir. "Draw the smile back on," said Lubna. "And what do I do if I miss you?" "Tell Pebble all about it," Lubna said. Amir nodded and held the shoebox tight. "Goodbye, Pebble," Lubna whispered. "Hello, Pebble," Amir said. The end. It's a pretty short story and a sweet one. It doesn't really go into much detail about the children and what sort of refugees they are, but it is a story about a child in a refugee camp, which is where a lot of refugees have to go. When they flee their country, they can't necessarily go right into a new country and become citizens of that country. They have to spend some time in a refugee camp, which can be pretty scary for a kid. They might not have enough food. They might not have a good shelter to stay in where they can stay warm. I think this is a really sweet story about a kid who does manage to do okay with the help of a pebble and a friend she makes, and her dad.